Tonight, I'm here in Burlington with my guest, Holly Bushnell, to hear the story of the haunting of the Queen City Cotton Mill. It's 1900, a dark, foggy night in midsummer. Workers cross the track for their second shift at the factory. One young woman, Marie, loses her footing. Her cries are drowned out by the whistle of an oncoming train. Moments later, she's gone, struck and killed on the tracks. Some say her spirit still lingers. Which visitations, like sightings in both places, or?
There have been sightings throughout the neighborhood.
Holly Bushnell is very comfortable with the dead. The owner of Queen City Ghost Tours in Burlington, Holly has never lived farther than 1 mile away from a graveyard. Tonight, she is taking me around Burlington's South End to all the places where Marie's restless spirit has been known to appear. Our first stop is the Lakeside neighborhood, where some of the old factory housing still stands.
So this is Marie's neighborhood. She probably would have lived in one of the buildings owned by the Queen City Cotton Company and built by the Queen City Cotton Company, because Burlington was a boom town and a factory town, and like now, it had a bit of a real estate issue. There was not enough space, but there were not enough workers. So what they needed to do was build spaces for people to live so that they could come and work at the cotton company. And they advertised all over. They advertised all the way up to northern Maine, Canada, New York, even all the way down to Philadelphia and Pennsylvania area. And people came from all over to work for the Queen City Cotton Company. It's good money, and they had a place to live. And Marie would have come home with her sister and her friend for supper. They would have probably had a pretty simple meal, had about an hour between times that they had to go back. And on her way back, we don't know if her shoe got stuck. The crossing would have been probably right in the same area, but it just would have been level to the ground.
At the turn of the 20th century, Burlington was a city in motion. The hum of progress filled the air, factories running day and night. The rumble of steam trains barreling down the waterfront. Thousands came here chasing a new beginning, including French Canadians like 22-year-old Marie, who traded one kind of hardship for another. They worked long hours doing dangerous work, driven by the hope of a better life. We walk over to the old Queen City Cotton Mill following the same path Marie would have taken back and forth to work each day. Got it good. Now you know that I know more of the story behind it. It definitely reads spooky.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the building still stands, its smokestack towering over the neighborhood.
Definitely atmospheric.
It was here, shortly after her death, that a night watchman swore he was not alone. The story goes that the watchman heard a noise echoing across the empty production floor. The factory was closed. But in the dark, he saw a young woman working at the loom.
So as he's walking through doing his job, he saw one of the looms going. And he would get closer, and he saw that it was kind of moving all on its own, but there was a shadowy figure of a young woman sitting at the loom doing her work. And he immediately knew who this young woman was. It was her loom, of course, but she had died rather tragically a little bit earlier in the year.
Even the young man who took over her loom said Marie seemed to have unfinished business at the cotton mill.
She was a little bit intimidating, at least.
Okay.
He would be working the loom, and he would feel her presence in the room, and sometimes he would even see her standing in the corner watching him. And then around the whole neighborhood, people started to have similar experiences where they would see her, or, they would see her in the spot where she passed away and hear the terrible scream she made when she passed away. People were pretty freaked out by what was going on.
Walking around outside the old brick building, I too swore I could feel a presence. Was it Marie? Or perhaps the lingering energy of the thousands of souls who labored here?
I think I hear something. Okay, definitely just heard something. It's all right. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's probably just an animal. No big deal. No big deal. It's all fine.
Finally, we head to the exact spot where Marie's short life came to its tragic end. Fencing shields the tracks. But on that June night in 1900, there were no barriers and no warnings protecting passerby from the trains. Holly tells me all that is known of Marie's final moments.
One night, I believe it was late June, they were working second shift, so they went home for dinner. Okay. And they had their meal. It was a steamy night, rainy, a lot of fog. And as they crossed the train tracks, Marie's sister and her friend got across just fine, but Marie got stuck.
There's a lot of train tracks. There's like 2 different sets of train tracks through here.
You could very easily get stuck in a lot of those tracks. And it was about 6:40 p.m., and that's when the last train on the Rutland Railroad was coming through. It was wet and slippery. And wearing a long skirt, as Marie would have been at the time, she may have caught it on the tracks. She may have just slipped on it and fallen down. It may have just been a split second that caused her death.
While her sister and friend watched, terrified and helpless, the oncoming train threw Marie 75 feet across the tracks.
The poor conductor of the train, he ended up having to leave his job because every time he came through this area, he would see her on the tracks, cowering, just terrified. And to this day, we actually have some reports of people around that time in June, if it's a specifically steamy night, along with the sound of the train coming through, you'll often hear a woman screaming as well.
Nope, 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 nope. So here is something, Holly, that is kind of freaking me out a little bit. I live very near here, and I actually run here because we're on the bike path.
Okay.
And we're right next to the Lakeside neighborhood.
Yep.
And the railroad tracks.
Yes.
So I've been running through here at night before.
Okay.
And felt a little bit weird.
Okay.
And didn't think anything of it. But now I'm feeling a little
You're
weird.
wondering if
I'm
maybe
wondering.
there was more to the feeling?
Yeah, you know that
I
feeling.
understand that. As far as we know, she's never done anything malicious. She's just around because she had a terrible death and has unresolved business.
Okay.
As far as we know, she's not malicious in any way, but it is still very terrifying, the idea of a woman screaming on the train tracks.
Yeah, it's a terrible way to go.
Oh, absolutely. All of the newspapers at the time, and this is actually really interesting, I was just reading them earlier today, and instead of listing her name as Marie Blais, which was her name, she was French Canadian, they anglicized her name to Mary Blair.
Okay.
And I believe that's probably because French Canadians were really second-class citizens at the time. People didn't like them coming in, taking their jobs, and they decided to give her some more sympathy by giving her an anglicized name. Which she of course deserved all the sympathy. Of course, she's 21, she got hit by a train.
Yeah. Oh, the poor thing.
Awful, but...
Okay, now I'm both like scared and mad all at the same time.
I know, right? Like, that's the joy of history.
Holly tells me that Marie's death, however, was not in vain.
The neighborhood went up in arms, and they went to the city fathers and convinced them to build a railroad bridge so that nobody would have to walk across the railroad tracks where Marie Blais died.
Today, that railroad bridge on Lakeside Avenue is the only of its kind in Burlington, a haunting reminder of tragedy. People still say Marie's spirit lingers, spied in a dark corner of the old mill, or heard in the echo of a passing train. Maybe she never left because she couldn't. Like so many who came here seeking a better life, she was bound to the work, even in death, returning to the loom. The real horror wasn't the haunting. It was the life, the peril, the loss, and the courage of the immigrants who built this country.
I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.